Hi, everybody. This is Becky Grabsky, and I'm facilitating the panel discussion today on the Sri Chinmoy Disciple Experience, and we are talking about Journey to Wholeness today. Who are we becoming, and how are we using our life experiences to benefit us? So my first question is, we've all come from the Sri Chinmoy Center, and I was only there for 2 years, and all of you have been there for many years, much longer than me. And so we've all come out of it, and we're all living our lives in a different way now. And so my question, and Pratul, I'd like to ask you this first, if you don't mind. How do you...
Oh, you just went away.
Oh, I just went away.
Can't,
Sorry.
can't hear you.
I'm back, I hope. You can't hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, okay. So basically, how do you find yourself again after leaving the center? You know, we were who we were before the center, and then our center experience happened, and then by the end of our center experience, we were a different person because of that. But how do we get our wholeness back? What is it that you got from the center, and how did you move forward with it?
Okay, so I'm going to start by answering one of those 9 questions.
One of them is good.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to know where to start. I mean, when I joined the center, it was really, it was kind of more of a boot camp experience for me because my life was not going well. So for me, part of it was kind of, it was almost like trying to get better parenting. My life was out of control, and I really needed someone, like a boot camp situation. It's like, do this, eat this, dress like this. And so that gave me the chance to sort of plug into that structure and move forward because I was not in a good place. So that was very beneficial. But then, so the main thing it did was sort of give me some really good kind of basic life skills because I didn't have that. I had been really interested in spirituality, Eastern philosophy, etc. as a teenager. I mean, I think it started when I read Be Here Now by Ram Dass when I was like 13. And basically, because my family had no experience of that world, that stuff really did not, I felt a kinship with it, but it did not help me create structure around my life. It actually sort of dismantled structure. Yeah. So it was ultimately not, I mean, as a teenager, it was not a good thing because it basically, it's like a container filled with water, and it was like pulling the container apart and the water was flowing everywhere. So getting into the center really kind of it put me back into a certain shape that was good. So that was extremely beneficial. And then when I got out of it, it was because once I had that shape set, I was finding that it was very restrictive, and not only restrictive, but because there was so much emphasis on sort of shedding, negative things or ignorant parts of yourself or unillumined parts. When that was a process of getting rid of things that were aspects of my being, and that felt wrong. So that was why after about 7 years, I was really feeling it was time to get out because I was at that point I felt it was starting to cause damage. And the other thing was all of the cool people had left. All the people that I was friends with and that I could relate to and that I could actually have intelligent discussions with were all sort of leaving. There was a kind of a mass exodus from San Francisco right around the early to mid 80s, and so it just felt like it was time to leave. So anyway, I don't know if that answered any of the questions that you asked. But
Well, yeah, actually it did, because part of what I want to talk about was, kind of where we came from. But the other thing that I want to talk about is where we're going. And so basically, how are we creating a new life after the center? And so Patricia,
Yeah.
you had an interesting time in the center and a long time. After you left, what was it like for you to continue on, and how did you sort of find yourself, the fullness of who you are, not just the disciple, and not just the person you were before you became a disciple, but bringing those things with you? How did you move forward, and what's the journey been like in sort of becoming the you that you are today?
Oh, I have a very quick answer. Answer would be I don't know. You have to answer something else. I would say that after leaving the center, it was like crossing an empty field for a long time, because first of all, I never regretted. I mean, I never missed, Guru or his presence or anything. It was like fine. I had been wanting to leave for about 7 years before we actually got thrown out. So it was a bit of a shock. But then what was nice that we were all thrown out at the same time. So my friend Haridas Olivier was thrown out also, so we could communicate. And with all the people from Paris who were thrown out, we could still communicate. So we didn't have this feeling of being lost, and depressed and all that. And then on the spiritual level, I first found, I started going to see Amma, Amritanandamai, because she gave me some comfort. Because at the time when we left the center, the same year, within a few months, I lost my guru, I lost my mother, and I lost my grandmother. So Amma came by, she was hugging me, and it gave me confidence, and I realized that I was still able to meditate, more or less, because I really couldn't meditate very well. So I went to visit her for a few years, and then I got really sick of all Indian crowds. I couldn't stand it anymore. The guru scene was too much and I just couldn't follow any teaching. I just couldn't. It's like I was like, nothing was happening. I was, I had a boyfriend, and I was working, and I had a pretty nice life, and still I have this inner quest which is still there, but I just didn't find anything to hang it on, to hang on to. And then finally, after a few years, I decided to start from nothing. That I started doing Qigong. And when you do Qigong, nothing happens. You're just standing there with your feet on the ground, and that's all you have. You're there in your body with your feet on the ground, and then you start, experiences being there, and something like that. Very simple. So now what I know is that I don't like the approach that people tell you, oh, some people do channeling, for instance, I have a message from there, or here they say that, or this person had this experience. I don't care. What I want to know is even if it's no experience at all, but I'd rather have my own experience, even if it's nothing, and I'm trying to, that's all. So nothing much, I couldn't say anything very spiritual. I got interested through the Qigong, I got interested in Chinese philosophy, and so I follow more or less the teaching of a man who's actually an acupuncturist, a doctor, and he's a great specialist in Chinese philosophy, and so I go to his seminars and we read in Chinese letters. We read from Lao Tzu and Chuang Tzu, and I don't understand anything, and that's fine because it's very subtle. So I don't know what else to say, you know. I live. Well, I still sing. I do music. I sing. I do my garden. I have a cat. I had a boyfriend, but now it's over. I'm trying to find another one, but it's really difficult.
Oh.
I wrote a terrible little book about 1 year searching on the dating sites. It's terrible. Well, anyway, I can't find anybody that suits me, really. And I don't know, life goes on. I try to I think about the meaning of life all the time. You know, I try to think, but I'm not. I don't really practice much. I can't meditate very well. You know, I'm trying to be. I like the philosophy of be here now. You know, like the power of now. Eckhart Tolle. Sometimes I listen to him.
Yeah, be here now. That's that's a good one for me too. I mean, what I found for myself, and the reason why I'm asking these questions is because these are the questions that I've asked myself. And you know, just you know, I like to think that the different experiences that I've had have just helped create the person that I am today. And so, regardless of you know, what I've experienced in the past, whether it be the path of Sri Chinmoy or whether it be, you know, other teachers or whatever, it's all kind of built up on each other to allow me to see what I need to see for myself right now. And it's all really about right now. It's about how am I feeling right now? Am I feeling love right now? Am I open? Am I receptive? Am I grounded? You know, all of these things. And so that's what really got me thinking about these questions is like, who are we becoming today? Who are we now? So Shundari, so who are you today?
That's a good question. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I only left 5 years ago. We were thrown out, and at that point, I was 57, I guess. It was my birthday, so I was 58, turning 58 that day. And really, at that point, I had been a disciple for 37 years, so I just thought, for me, it was more important the people in the group than Guru by far at that point. He was more of a roadblock in so many ways than a help at the end. But we had such a strong family feeling. And we had been a family for all those years. You know, that was like my only family because I had to cut off my real family for 21 years. So I just had pretty much resigned myself that that was it for this life. You know, I just, many times Guru said, it's just one incarnation. And I thought to myself, okay, fine, I can just give one incarnation for this, you know, and not think of my own personal wants or needs in any way. And so my goal at that time when I left was just to stay at the restaurant because to support the people that were still on the path, because I figured there weren't that many of us and we really needed to hang together. It was sort of, you know, us against the world in a way, like we had to support each other. Some people were really aging. You know, one person who was thrown out with us was Damien, who was 67 at the time, and I knew that we didn't have any savings or any plan. And for me, the huge shock had come when Sri Chinmoy died 2 years before we were thrown out, because it became apparent that he had absolutely no plan for us. But over all those years, he had given so many talks about the need for, you just have to have faith in me, I'll take care of you, I'll take you to the goal. And despite so many doubts or misgivings, I just kept forcing myself to believe. And also because every year that passes, you see your options becoming more and more limited. As you're in your 50s and then 60s, you see it's not like the world is open to you for any possible thing you want to do, as we had felt when we were in our 20s. So I just wanted to be there to support people and, you know, and then we were thrown out. So it was really a shock because, you know, I was 58. We went, I remember we took a sound healing course, and we went, and the first thing, they were going around the room and asking everybody's name. And I went with my two roommates, Ashanka and Darna, and when they got to us, we just started crying because we said, we don't know what our name is, you know?
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
so anyway, I've been very fortunate that I found a job working in a bank, and I really enjoy it. And I just have no idea what the future holds, really. I know right now, Ashanka and I take care of my mom on the weekends because she's almost 88, and I feel very, very happy that I'm able to do that because for 21 years I had no contact with my family. So when my dad passed shortly after we left the path. Well, no, it was like over a year later, but we were able to come over on weekends and help as he was dying of cancer. And then my mom now has dementia, and she's a great person. She was a disciple for 3 years, and you know, she's fantastic. But it's very hard to see that process, you know, but I do feel tremendously fortunate to be able to help. So I don't really have any long-term plans. I'm just sort of going day by day, you know, working and helping with my mom. And I really enjoy this disciple forum because it's just so wonderful that we're all gathering together and sharing these experiences. You know, it's just really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
So
for
what you're
doing.
do you still meditate? I mean, what's your experience of going within, of knowing yourself?
I never really meditated. I had nice meditations.
I love it.
Honestly, I did not. I mean, I love singing. I love singing, and I loved the performing. I really missed that. And I had some really nice meditations at the center. I think the power of the group, but sitting at home, never. It really didn't happen for me, so I just did it. And I had some good meditations with Sri Chinmoy too. But you know, so it was more about I was probably more of a karma yogi type person, just working, transcribing songs, you know, all that. So.
Service.
Yeah, service.
How many thousands of songs did you transcribe?
I would say over 20,000, definitely. Way over. Yeah, I had thought today we were going to talk about, somehow I thought we were going to talk about the good things about the path. And I was thinking, you guys who left a while ago, you missed some great Christmas trips. We had great times. I mean,
this part.
These 5-star hotels and, you know, just beautiful places. And people would take side trips. I never did. I was sitting in my room transcribing songs, but it was beautiful. You know, it's just, we had some really nice times. But as I say, Sri Chinmoy was often more of an obstacle than anything. Just for example, saying, okay, I want a concert for 20,000 people, but you can't use the internet. You can't, you know, you have to get out. Just everything. He made it difficult. So anyway, yeah. So I really don't know where I'm going. I read a lot, and I think I'm reading a book called The Untethered Soul, which is all about just, I think like everybody is talking about, just being in the moment, just being awareness. I try to think of that, try to feel just awareness, who is experiencing these emotions, who is thinking these thoughts, you know. But I don't really sit and meditate. It doesn't work for me. My mind just goes, you know, so yeah.
Cool. So Anne,
I got back. I'm on.
I'm glad you're back. Yeah, I'm glad you're back. So what's your experience in coming back into more of who you are after the experience of the center?
I feel that.
Like what tools or what things that you do to feel the fullness of who you are?
Well, I think what happened with me was in the center, perhaps, like Shindari said, Guru was an obstacle sometimes, many times, because he deliberately created confusion in our minds. And he wasn't the direct path that he promised to be, and was a very circuitous path, my experience anyway. So my feeling was that when I left the center, that I was examining my experiences, and I was still meditating, and I was having the same high experiences that I was having in the center, And I said, well, if I'm really the hostile force or the ignorant person that Guru is now saying I am, then obviously there's something not right here. So my feeling was that my experiences are coming from my own awareness, my own consciousness, and my own intentions, my own aspiration. So from that, I started to feel that, yeah, people can have great experiences with a person who's basically not who says he is, but it's coming from within you. It's your own awareness and your own desire that's generating this consciousness. And so that gave me a great deal of self-empowerment. And it also made me feel that I would never, again, follow someone 100% in that way again, because I would never feel that someone else is generating my experiences. I would understand that it's coming from within, and it's based on my own story that I've created within my head, basically. And we all can learn from other people. We can always, for instance, get a practice from another person, or get stepping stones, or find, this or that. But the ultimate results are in our own hands, especially with the spiritual life. So I spent a lot of time, and one of the things I did was I took inventory of my values. Like I said, what do I value in the spiritual life? Because I did not value deception. I did not value manipulation. I did not value, different things that were going on in the center. And I basically sort of said, well, that's what I don't value anymore, and sort of just affirmed for myself what I value after leaving. And one of the things that I did value was being open and being of use to other seekers who might fall into the same trap, because I did feel that I had fallen into a trap. I had tremendously difficult time extricating myself into 20 years, and so I wanted to help other seekers not to have that same experience. So I told the story of what happened to me. So that was one of the things that happened with me when I left. And besides that, I was just kind of coasting along, going to work, doing, basically living my life. I have a very full, busy life with work and just, being happy. I meditate when I feel like it. I don't, force my spiritual life, but I'm happy. So that's how it's been for me. My feeling about, for instance, enlightenment or realization and even God has completely changed. I don't believe in God. I don't think there's a being out there who's consciously pulling the strings, or if I pray to him that things will change. I feel that that's more on an intention basis within my own heart. If I intend for good things, I'll automatically draw them toward myself to the extent that I'm able to. And I don't believe that there's an external person, but I do believe that humans have incredible power in their heart, in their intentions, in their ability to understand and feel consciousness. I think that we have incredible abilities that way, but as far as one person channeling all the power, I don't think so. Never again will I feel that way, or that one person is God and I'm not God. I feel that energy that's flowing through the universe it's in all of us. So even if a person appears ignorant, angry, or has this or that problem, that same energy is within them. So it's not. I try not to judge people anymore. Sometimes I fall into that pattern, but I try to feel the divine in everybody, not just whether a person is a spiritual person or not. I try not to form these judgments that place myself as being above other people who have less awareness about something. I try to feel that they have their own awareness and their life is progressing as their destiny is, and it's not my place necessarily to try to bring them ahead or hold them back. I try to let them be as they are and relate to them, love them as they are. So that's the path, the direction that my path is taking now.
That's pretty cool.
Be as it is.
I like that. That's really cool. There's a definite self-empowerment there. There's a definite knowing of who you are and what you're about, and just really sort of a solid energy that really comes from inside. And I really like that. I really like that you've been able to sort of achieve that, with all the different experiences that you've had. So that's awesome. So thank you. Louis, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
so, Louis, I'd really like to know more about, what it's been like for you since you left, and what's been happening, and how you've been able to sort of express your soul and yourself in your life since you left.
One thing is that it's been 30 years since I left the center. I was there for 10 years, and it's been 33 years since then. So
that's pretty cool.
It's not like it's no longer the foundational piece of my life. It's an important piece, and I learned a lot. I learned some things to do and some things not to do. But it has a certain perspective now, so it definitely has lasting influence, true, and that's in the mix with many other things. I think one of the things, though, that if I try to look at big issues, since then, the center, being in the meditation center, was very much about trying not to be human. It was about trying to be spiritual. And so it was about kind of certain parts of the being, like between here and here, and everything else was meant to be dead. And I think that we became fairly developed in some of those places, and we atrophied in other places. So after I left the center, I really and started doing some really helpful psychotherapy, and got involved with shamanism, and we had a men's group for many years, and part of that was wanting to become deeply human and learning the sacredness of being human and the appropriateness and beauty of all the emotions that come with that, being loving, being open, being afraid, being vulnerable, being sad, because I had no idea what those things meant coming out of the meditation center. I remember going to the first couple therapy sessions that I had after I left, trying to sort stuff out, and very good therapist asking me, well, how do you feel about this particular thing? And I would go, oh, fine, it's fine. I had no idea what those emotions were. So part of the path for me has been understanding all those other pieces and respecting them, and realizing, like I said, kind of the sacredness and the great terror of being alive, that kind of combination. And so, I've done a lot of different kinds of weird spiritual stuff to try to learn that, whether it be therapy, men's group, shamanism, ayahuasca, and for the past 4 or 5 years, qigong. So it's really interesting, Patricia, to hear you talk about it. I mean, I've found it to be very powerful as a form of healing and changing of consciousness, and it's science then. There's no dogma to it, and it's built in a very, very crystalline, very logical structure based on Chinese medicine and Taoism, that it's just kind of factual the way the philosophy is built. So that's what's working for me right now, and I'm enjoying that practice. I don't do it every day. I'd be healthier if I did, but I don't. And being in a good relationship and really learning about love and how that fits into life and the great beauty of that. Check, as Paul would say.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. We're hitting the half-hour mark, so I just want to yeah.
Well, add something because I was thinking it was so interesting to. Well, some people asked me after I had left the center, outside people said, "What did you retain from all that experience? Like you spent 22 years with a group. What did you retain?" And I didn't retain anything, but not meditation. I don't know how to meditate. Nothing. But one thing, strangely, is sense of I easily feel oneness or brotherhood or sisterhood with other people, and it's wonderful to feel this sense of communication of possible oneness with ordinary people. I am now an ordinary person, and that was a wonderful feeling to be an ordinary person again. And
Nice.
also on the spiritual level, you believe in God. I don't know what I believe in, but I still have a sense of the sacred. I'm very sensitive to the sacredness of things, whether it could be entering a church or listening to music or watching nature, watching the birds, or and feeling alive. And that's or I'm the sacredness of life for me is very important. So that's all.
Yeah, yeah. So Pratul, I think you have something more to add. It feels like.
Well, that
With
was a
that.
nice piece that Patricia said. Like I really, like I said, I felt like being in the center was sort of boot camp for me, and so we learned an appreciation for spiritual things and divine things, but it was all in such tightly focused directions, and I feel like that helped me focus that kind of appreciation. But then getting out of the center, I really felt the constraint of that, and I wanted to expand it. And so, yeah, like Patricia said, I can see that now in everything. Whereas in the center, you were encouraged to only see it in certain things and to not let it be in other things. There were certain things that were undivine and ignorant and dangerous and hostile, and that didn't work for me then. And it But what happened was that sense of divinity or spirituality just sort of expanded into everything. And that was probably, if I was to look back, the biggest surprise, although there's no real surprise in there, is that all of that just opens up. It's not compartmentalized, and there's certain things that are good and certain things that are bad. That sense of spirit and divinity is inside of everything. I haven't come across anything that is undivine, and I've spent a fair amount of time looking, and there is no such thing. There is no such thing as something that doesn't have spirit in it. That's not actually true. So anyway, but I like what Patricia said. And the thing that's also been surprising to me with this group, and much more so this particular group than the Yahoo group that was so active for a long time, is the feeling that I share with you people. And it's so nice seeing you, Shubala and Sundari, and Louis and I still see each other, but and Becky and Ann, I didn't really know you in the center, but it does feel like family. It's like there's just this warmth. And I see, like, Sundari, your face just popped up, and Patricia, it's just like, you feel like old, long-lost, family that I love. It's and it's just right there. It's just right there,
We have to get together again, Paul, because we're not that far apart,
No, I know. We're like a couple miles.
Very close. We just saw Lucian yesterday, and that was so nice because we haven't seen him for a while, and he's just adorable. So great.
I think he came after I had already left.
Yeah, he probably did. You left a long time ago, you guys all. That was sad when you all left. That was really hard.
It was 30 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. We plowed on.
Yeah. Great. So I think that just to round out everything, I wanted to get a good sense of where people went to afterwards, after they left the path, and what got them to connect inside. And I really love the fact that I think all of us have been able to get to a place of feeling the oneness with other people, not just with our group, which is fabulous and wonderful and incredible, but with everybody else, and not just with all the other people, but with life, and with, like, Pratul, what you said, everything is divine, and with the qigong, and being able to just stand with your feet on the earth and just be grounded, and be grounded in the moment, and just feel what that brings. I really like all that, and I'm really appreciating all of you for sharing all that. I wanted to give people a sense that there really is a way to cope and a way to live after the center, for those people who are just leaving or who are still having issues with coping. And I wanted to show that each one of us deals with it in our own way, but that we do deal with it, and that we have found a way that really works for us, and that life continues and life moves on, and it can be beautiful and glorious and wonderful. And so thank you all for sharing your stories. I love you. Blessings. And
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So take care, and we are over and out.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.